In the headlines tonight, Prime Minister Abiy highlights the role of the youth in reinvigorating glory of the nation. In another development, Mogadishu hotel siege ends, at least 20 killed. Good evening to you all. A very warm welcome to ETV News. I am Grum Tariku. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed held discussion today with youth comprised from various parts of the country, responding questions raised from the participants on the national, regional and youth affairs. The Premier said that the dialogue, development, democracy, defense and diplomacy are vital to realize Ethiopia's prosperity. Shagayamata has more on this.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed held discussion with youths gathered from different parts of the country under the theme The Role of the Youth of Our Generation. The program is held as a closing after they have been attending in the zonal and regional level in different parts of the country. Participants posed questions regarding the current affairs of the country and issues related to the youth. Addressing the participants in the discussion, the Premier said the period of adulthood is a time to accomplish visions.
The period of adulthood is the time you accomplish your dreams, not the time to plan. You are now at the age of performing practical tasks to yourself and to your country. The time when you are getting older is to report what you did during your young age. It's also time to narrate our dreams and wishes and practical accomplishments and share our experiences to others.
Concerning the current national affairs of the country, the Premier underlined that dialogue, development, democracy, defense and diplomacy are vital to realize prosperity of the country.
Dialogue is pivotal to resolve conflicts. Unless we discuss and settle our disputes, chaos will emerge. The other is development. If we do not work on resolving unemployment and other problems, we cannot satisfy the demand of the youth. So we need to work on job creation and developing our nation. The third is democracy. Everyone has to exercise democracy, contesting political parties and the ruling party too. To seize political power, to lead a democratic nation, rule of law is fundamental. The fourth one is defense. We have to keep the sovereignty of our country. At the same time, we have to defend our interests. The last one is diplomacy. Diplomacy is significant to forge relations with people. The same is true for nations. Therefore, if we implement all these instruments, we will realize prosperity of our country.
Diplomacy, defense, democracy, development, dialogue. እነዚህን ከያዘ ወጣት እነዚህን ከያዘ ፖለቲከኛ እነዚህን ከያዘ ሀገር አትጠራጠሩ ብዙ ችግር እንፈታለን.
Participants for their part stated the significance of the discussion and explained the efforts made by the government.
Before this meeting, we have been visiting the mega projects constructed in Addis Ababa for 3 consecutive days. It was an amazing visit. We did not know well our country, but now we see a lot of surprising changes like mega projects in the city. For example, we visited the Unity Park, Science Museum, different parks and others. We found that what we have been listening on media is real. This discussion is also an indication of the government's giving due attention for the youth and the Prosperity Party is working with the youth.
በቲቪ ስንሰማ የነበራቸውን በተጨባጭ ያየንበት ነውና ጣቱ ሚናም ደግሞ እንደ ሀገር ለሌላው ጠላት አሳልፎ እንዳያሰጥ
We have understood there are reasons that the youth should stand against our enemies. When we compare with the previous leaders, Ethiopia achieved better in artificial intelligence, air force and defense forces. We observed that Ethiopia started utilizing untapped potentials. We also see that the Prime Minister is better performing with his leadership well. In general, the discussion enabled us to realize Ethiopia is great and even it will develop more.
In another development, an Ethio-South Sudanese Green Legacy initiative was held under the theme Ethiopia-South Sudan Green Legacy 2022 in Belian country in the vicinity of Juba. Nabil Mahadi, Ethiopian ambassador to South Sudan, stated that the Green Legacy project helps reduce land degradation while also promoting ecotourism and combating climate change. Ethiopian civil servants, young and old, including children, are enthusiastically participating in Ethiopia's Green Legacy culture campaign through dedicated public mobilization, he added. Deng Dao Deng, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of South Sudan, thanked the Ethiopian community and members of the peacekeeping force for their participation in the tree planting program. The Deputy Minister also expressed his country's interest in sharing Ethiopia's experiences, emphasizing the importance of promoting the Ethiopian Green Legacy Initiative.
Welcome to a nation of firsts, a nation regarded as the cradle of both mankind and civilization, a nation that carved monolithic churches and monuments out of rock, a nation whose system of ancient mathematics is the same sophisticated system that modern computers use today. However, I'm not here to tell you about our incredible history and heritage. I am here to tell you about another first for our nation.
Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will reduce water losses from evaporation, while Egypt loses a considerable amount of water volume from Aswan Dam. However, some Egyptians are deliberately ignoring this and spreading false propaganda that Egypt lost over 18 billion cubic meters of water during Ethiopia's 3 rounds of water filling. Amongst the benefits of GERD that the world needs to appreciate is the dam reduces fluctuations of water flows throughout the year. Tigisanesa has more on this.
Nile cruise ship in Egypt includes a luxurious floating hotel. It has almost the accommodation features of a land-based hotel, including restaurants, swimming pools, bathtubs, exercise rooms, evening entertainment programs, small shops and small libraries. While Egyptians have been able to afford to build these luxurious floating hotels on the River Nile for many years to benefit from, on the other hand, Ethiopia, that contributes 80% to the Nile River, has been suffering a great deal without using Nile River for thousands of years. So the million-dollar question to ask will be how the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, will alleviate problems as such. In Ethiopia, nearly 2/3 of the total population in the country are not connected to electricity, which GERD will help Ethiopia alleviate problems as such.
It'll provide electricity to millions of Ethiopians. And that's big because right now more than 2/3 of the population aren't connected to the grid. That's about 75 million people.
Over several years, it will produce 6,000 megawatts. Ethiopia's current generating capacity is only 4,000 megawatts.
An article which appeared on Al Monitor quoted Abbas Sharik, professor of geology at Cairo University, as saying that Ethiopia's policy is neutral. This is absurd, given Ethiopia's commitment to equitable use of Nile water. The professor went on to claim that Egypt lost over 80 billion cubic meters of water during the 3 rounds of GERD filling. All this shows the extent to which Egypt remains belligerent on GERD issues. According to a number of conducted research, GERD creates an artificial lake about the size of London. Then the water flows through a pipe to turbines to generate electricity, and it continues its flows to Sudan and Egypt, so the dam will not reduce water availability. The GERD will reduce fluctuations of water flows throughout the year in Egypt. This means less unexpected flooding during the rainy season in Sudan. This means more water during the dry season, so farmers in Egypt and Sudan can get bigger returns.
والنيل الازرق بالذات متمرد جدا يعني الليله هنا بكره تلقاه هنا بعد بكره تلقاه هناك الناس دول بعد مرات الطوبه شايفه ده قبل ما يشيلوه بيكون خلاص غرقوا اليوم سريع بشكل ما تتخيل.
GERD will reduce the water losses from evaporation. Egypt loses a lot of water from Aswan Dam due to evaporation, as the reservoir is located at a lower elevation, so Egypt will benefit when the water is stored in Ethiopia, where the evaporation losses are smaller. The GERD can benefit Egypt and Sudan by retaining a lot of silt and sedimentation. From cheap electricity to flood control to silt retention to reduce evaporation losses, the world needs to appreciate the benefits GERD brings to Sudan and Egypt and also Ethiopia.
As TPLF and its sympathizers continue beating war drums at the neglect of peace process, some renowned personalities are condemning the move as insane. One of these is Tibor Nagy, former U.S. ambassador to Ethiopia. In his latest tweet, Nagy asked who is in their mind would want war, especially now that there is road to peace. According to Nagy, the rumor that war will start is untenable, adding peace and stability are the only options for Ethiopia to realize its potentials. Observers said the proposal by the Peace Committee is another demonstration of the continued commitment for a peaceful resolution of the conflict. They underline that it puts into perspective the need to give respite to affected communities in Afar, Amhara, and Tigray. It's also cognizant of the TPLF's continued forced conscription of youth and accumulation of weaponry. Meanwhile, they criticized Biden for mentioning Tigray and neglecting Afar and Amhara in his World Humanitarian Day address. In business news, investors said they are keen to engage in the hotel and tourism industry at the artificial lake and islands being created by the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The investors told the Ethiopian news agency that the dam has created favorable environment for the hospitality industry. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced last week the successful filling of the GERD for the 3rd time and early power generation of the 2nd turbine. According to him, there would be 70 islands on the artificial lake to be created by the dam. He further urged businessmen at home and abroad to invest in hotels and resorts in this beautiful area. Balaina Kende, an Ethiopian investor, said apart from the energy to be generated, the dam would help to gain huge revenue from the hotel and tourism sector. Manager of Daily Hall Hotel, Grum Bahailu, stated that the completion of the dam will allow the creation of many islands. Lakes and islands will bring economic opportunities, especially for hotels and tourism industry, he added. Al-Shabaab militants attacked Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu on Friday evening. At least 20 people have now died in the long siege that took place in the Mogadishu hotel between Friday evening and Saturday night. For over 30 hours, security forces fought with Al-Shabaab militants hiding inside the Hyatt Hotel and filling in explosives. Johannes Fantown has more from Africa News.
Authorities said more than 106 hostages were freed when the attack started with two suicide bombings, followed by an assault by multiple gunmen who entered the buildings targeting civilians and later holed up in rooms. Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda linked group that frequently perpetrates assaults to try to destabilize the government, claimed responsibility for the operation. A victim said he was inside the hotel with two friends who got up to leave a few moments before the attack began.
Just minutes before the blast, two of my friends, may God grant them paradise, named Hassan Yalhao and Abdrashir, told me they would be leaving, but seconds later they were both killed by the blast.
The politician described the scene of terror after the first explosions.
People fled in confusion. They were all running toward the place where they thought they would be safe. The hotel began to fill with smoke and flames, and I immediately saw one of the hotel's bodyguards bleeding and another man wounded.
The hotel was largely destroyed during the battle, and its manager warned explosives could still be hidden inside.
Over now to a quick reminder of the headlines. Prime Minister Abiy highlights the role of the youth in reinvigorating glory of the nation. Mogadishu hotel siege ends, at least 20 killed. Well, you have been watching ETV News. Thanks for your company and have a great week.